teaching you the art of industrial real estate. This is On Air with Team Jensen.
Hello, hello. Welcome, listeners. This is episode 26 of On Air, the art of industrial real estate, here with Team Jensen. Today, we're very excited. We've got two of our friends with TempCon joining us. We've got Luke and Connor. Thank you very much for coming on with us, guys.
Yeah, of course. Glad to be here. This is exciting.
Yeah. So we're excited to, I think it's been a couple episodes since we've truly cracked it open. So I know Stuart's giddy to crack open a beer and celebrate our Martin City sponsorship.
Yeah,
beer,
we haven't tasted the Martin City flavors here in a little while. So excited to get back into it.
But before we get too far in with the beers, wanted to kind of give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourselves in TempCon a little bit more. I'm sure a lot of folks listening maybe have seen your guys' trucks and vans around town and are familiar with the name. But if you guys want to kind of jump into your background a little bit and who you are and what you do at TempCon and what TempCon's all about here in Kansas City.
Sure, yeah, I'll start off. So I'm president of TempCon. I've been here almost 5 years, moved out February of 20, and my family moved out in March, spring break of 20, right smack in the middle of COVID. So I remember very vividly, my kids came out and we're living in the Home 2 Suites over there in Prairie Fire, and we go and tour the middle school that my daughter's going to be going to. And it was right after the Utah Jazz ended their season.
Oh,
right.
Right. Yeah.
And so it was very vivid in my head. But yeah, we're walking to school and she was like, yeah, I don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow, but here's a school. And
Right.
all of a sudden we're doing at-home learning, remote learning, and it was kind of shock and awe. It was a good way to meet neighbors and actually get out and do the garage beers like everybody was doing.
For sure.
It was interesting though, moving in smack in the middle of a pandemic that I think none of us have ever experienced in our lifetime, and trying to come into a company that I'm tasked with growing.
Yeah.
And,
Now lead.
Now lead, yeah, now lead. And,
But don't meet anybody in person.
Yeah, he's right.
Build a culture, but there's not a lot of work to go around. So it was definitely an interesting start.
For sure. No doubt.
And this is Connor.
Connor Smith with joined TempCon in 2020, just a little bit after Luke. I think he was on for a few months right before I came. I was previously a mechanical engineer over at Branch Pattern. They're downtown now, actually. Their consulting engineering firm, was with them for 12 years. Came on as the in-house engineer over at TempCon and has since started leading our department pre-construction. Basically handle all of our bids, any of our business development with general contractors, go out there looking for opportunities, particularly if I can do negotiated work, get in the door first type thing. Anything that I can provide someone to help them with where they're wanting to go for their air conditioning needs.
Funny story about Connor and kind of our introduction to his engineering skills. He knows where I'm going to go with this, I'm pretty sure. So we had this project, Lawrence Police Department, up in, obviously, Lawrence. And, we're getting through it, and we come up with this issue. And in this issue, we're in debate over the GC. And these air handlers, these rooftops were in a parapet, but didn't have enough room for the airflow. And, we open up the drawings, and I look over, and there's an engineered stamp on there. It's a wet stamp. And I look at the name, and I'm like, wait a minute, I know that name. It was Connor Smith. Yeah. So Connor comes on, right? This is his last project that you did?
It was the last project I was overseeing.
Last project, and one of the biggest wins we had on our backlog at the time, and sure enough. But yeah, no, Connor's been great. He's Connor came in, so a little background on the company. The company started really doing service in restaurants, and founded by Jerry Bain in 1995, and he built it on his own. He worked probably 16-hour days on roofs, middle of winter, servicing restaurant equipment, and just kind of slowly built that up. Got a couple of partners on board. Gary Danziger came on board, probably 10 years prior to me coming on board. But he had a construction background. He was an engineer by trade like Connor.
Okay.
So that's how the design build, design assist, the project group really started, was Gary going out and getting work. And started doing the project side of it, and that was the impetus for the company starting to get some good revenue. Service is high margin, low revenue. Just the value of service is mainly PM maintenance agreements, and from those agreements, you sometimes do change outs.
Right.
But Jerry realized to get bigger and to grow the platform, he needed to have that contract project side into it to get the volume.
Mm-hmm.
So the company started growing. I came on board, and the company had in 2018 one of its best years ever. I think it did about $28 million in revenue. That year during COVID, we only did about 21, and it was a tough year, but it's grown subsequently after that, and this year we'll do about 54 million. So we'll.
Oh yeah.
Since the time Connor and I came on, we've more than doubled the size of the company.
It's awesome.
Service is doing well. It's grown. We have a great team. The culture's going really well, and yeah, we're focusing on growth.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, that's exciting. And do you feel like, I mean, even here at Kessinger Hunter, I feel like during the pandemic, we kind of, I don't want to say lost our company culture, but it was hard to kind of have a sense of community within the company. And I think the last couple of years, especially, we've been able to take that back. Are there some things, you guys experienced the last couple of years that have been nice to enjoy now that things are kind of back to normal with the company? Or I guess, opportunities with being newer to the company, were there, I guess, when did you start to feel like you were able to grow that company culture?
It was probably about 2.5 years in. I mean, the tough part about not only me coming in fresh, and I was tasked with professionalizing the company, putting together a strategy for growth.
Right.
And any new person, especially a new person who's coming in to run the company, when you have a bunch of folks who are homegrown and they're used to the management, they're used to kind of doing what they're doing, change is really hard for people, right?
Yeah.
As hard as it is for me, it was harder for everybody else. For me to come in and try to start implementing things, and as slowly as I thought I was doing it, it was really fast in their minds.
Right.
And it was a change of life in their mindset. Hey, is this really the company I want to be with?
Yeah.
And all he was asking was spreadsheets. Just handle spreadsheets.
Yeah, he's like, what is this spreadsheet stuff he's asking for, right?
There used to all these paper folders everywhere.
Yeah.
No, that's the job folder. I'm like, I have a laptop. Like, what are we doing here?
It was brutal. I mean, yeah. No, I mean that in the best way. They just, they hadn't really been trained by anybody, or, how to manage a project, how to run a project, how to strategically go after service opportunities. And so that was all tough. And that COVID on top of it, we, from a installer perspective, so we have installers and technicians. Our technicians have been pretty level, about 40 technicians throughout this time period, from start to where we are now. But the installation side was real tough. We were overmanned, and I knew that even before COVID really had its impacts. But once really COVID took effect, once the shutdowns happened, we had to reduce manpower regardless. But it was so I came in, and I always say that I was viewed as the reaper of death. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter if it was the right reason or not, I was a change agent, and that isn't necessarily a good thing in people's minds.
Right.
So that I would say the culture was pretty negative for the first 2.5 years. 2.5 years into it started to shift. Some people left. Some of the negative people left.
Right.
And we started to grow our own culture. Started bringing people in that had a fresh mind and were open to try new things. And for us, a lot of it is there's not a right way or a wrong way, but you got to try something. If you don't try it, then you're not willing to change. You're not willing to grow.
Well, and without that, you wouldn't have gotten to the 54 million that you're doing today. I mean, go the same old ways, it wouldn't have cut it.
And
so.
I mean, to your point is, our customer base was always used to us doing small jobs. Our average project size was $500,000 less, actually.
Right.
And it took me 2.5 years. It took us 2.5 years to get it above 500,000. We're now just about over $1 million, and a lot of it's thanks to his contacts here locally. Me coming from Colorado, I didn't have that. Connor's got that.
Right.
And his networking and his ability to bring in that business and create those relationships.
Yeah.
Really, I think the fundamental project that probably really started getting us noticed in the region was KC Current.
Yeah.
That one was huge.
Because when would TempCon have been awarded that work, considering the whole, like, back into that for us? So, like, when would that have been?
I want to say that
had to have been in the first couple of years that you were around, right?
Late 21.
maybe 22.
We might have spilled it into 22.
Okay.
I think we might have started budgeting it.
Yeah.
Help budget it in 21.
And it was and the question was, can you guys do it? And so we,
Right.
The original way that we were submitting bids was, just a Word doc. You put it to a PDF and, hey, here's our proposal. But we changed the way that we were doing proposals, and we professionalized it, put a bunch of plans in there in terms of how we're going to run the project, manpower loading, and all these things that, larger companies do to say, hey, we have the experience, we have the capability, we have the knowledge base. And putting that type of professional touch onto the proposal, I think really was one of the things that gave them confidence that we could do it. And we went into it, and we were doing well. We, in the middle of it, we got a little bit backed up. We had a course correction, but we finished strong. And that one led to J.E. Dunn having a strong enough opinion of us to give us a shot on the American Royal.
Right. Yeah.
And the American Royal now is a $24 million project. It is the largest project by really 5X that we had done up to that point.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so it's great. Yeah, the first half of it is nearly done. The barns are nearly done, and we're just waiting to kick off the arena.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show you a couple big wins like that can be a windfall into opening gates and doors into something you didn't think you'd necessarily be involved in. But I'm sure that was ultimately a goal for you as you were getting settled and getting into the company more. But,
and to draw that back to the culture thing, people like Kansas City Current. It's a big. As much as an office building, as good as the next.
That was going to be a high visibility project.
Right, exactly,
Right.
and that helps. What am I trying to say? Make culture stronger.
For sure.
I'm sure your team's proud to be in a part
they
of that
get to
project.
drive by on that every time they see it on TV. Whatever it is, they get to point to that and look to their kids and say, I helped build that.
Sense of pride, right?
Exactly.
Right.
No, that's absolutely, and that's one of the coolest parts I think about the type of work you guys do, and what similar to what we do, is being able to see it come to life and feel like you're a part of something bigger than yourselves.
Exactly.
And I think those two projects especially are a testament to that, which is very cool.
No doubt.
And I think Stuart's probably he's looking at the beers.
His eyes are wide.
I'm gonna crack open a hazy. Does anyone want a hazy?
I'll do a hazy.
Yeah, let's do the hazy.
I'm gonna go against the grain.
So this is one way. I help lead our business development, so that helps with the culture building as well. That's something that Luke kind of brought to TempCon, I would say. I don't know, maybe it was done prior, but there's been team outings way more frequently. I think we even have a committee for it at this point. There's a summer party, there's a holiday party. They always had a holiday party, but I don't know if they had the summer party.
Right.
There's branding. Everyone gets $200 to a team store that has good products on it.
Cool. Yeah.
So it's all of that culture stuff that really starts to lead to strong teams that then lead to good projects, then allow you to
it's crazy
keep continuing.
when you enjoy who you're working around every single day. Everyone's a lot happier at work and more positive.
Right, and when you're winning big projects, it's a lot easier to be
certainly.
excited at work.
Starts to
it kind of reciprocates.
exactly.
But
Yeah, it snowballs for sure. Yeah.
well,
generate its own.
Stuart, I'm going to put you under the gun, but let's crack it
There you
open. And do you have a question?
I
for him?
got it.
We've given you about 15 minutes now to think.
No, yeah. No, I think it's interesting. I've seen some other shops, in your guys' world, bring on somebody like Connor, like an in-house engineer. It seems like that is a pretty critical piece to continue to grow. And as far as having that skill set, the reputation, what you guys are capable of doing, what kind of have you enjoyed the jump, and how much of a change was it for you? I would imagine your work probably is a little bit more hands-on than maybe it was in the consulting world when you were with Branch Pattern. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoy it. You don't know what you don't know. I was happy with my life, but there were sometimes I would spend the night at the office 2 to 3 times a day, or 2 to 3 times a year. That'd be impossible to. Well, or unless I was sleeping on the job. But we'd have, long projects of project management, and we'd have certain deliverables that we have to hit. And it really just kind of got to where I was managing a team of 10 to 12. I think at one point it got to like 14. And again, it was same thing over and over again. But starting to not see a lot out of it, other than, the final goalpost of, submitting the 100% CDs. Right. That's not the end of it. Then the construction starts.
Right.
And that's when you really find the problems in your documents. You can do all the redlining you want. You can all the checks and balances. There's still going to be errors that exist. Or you can make the red lines, like he was talking about that project and that I came on and TempCon was building. I had caught an error on that, redlined it, sent it to my team. Hey, highlight this off, pick it up, make sure you coordinate everything. Don't install that close to the wall.
Right.
TempCon doesn't know better. Engineer does.
Right.
They didn't pick it up. TempCon installs it, and everyone's like, "You should." Then the GC plays the game of like, "Hey, you're a reputable contractor. You're supposed to know not to do that." Right. And they're like, "What the heck? There's a reason there's a signed and sealed set, and it's my seal on the dang thing."
Yeah.
And it's like because I didn't get to do the check but verify, or what is it? Trust but verify. And so I never got to look at those drawings. But yeah, my life has gotten. It's so much better to pursue the work you want to pursue. If you win, that right there, or if you get negotiated work, that's even better. But to have more control on the drawing set, it's just more fulfilling when you're actually truly more a part of it than just managing the team.
Right.
And at TempCon, you really get to do that as the in-house engineer. Where I think it helps with our reputation and having the in-house engineer in there is that on the closeout of a project where things where the things, everything's
Punch
started up,
list
punch list.
Right.
Well, sometimes there's a design issue that you don't know exists, but if you have the in-house engineer, then hopefully you can spot it early enough or have the solution already in hand. Don't even have to do an RFI. Don't have to get it approved.
Right.
Everyone agrees with it. Hey, just do this, this, and this. We're good to go. Let's walk away.
Nobody wants to deal with change orders.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It removes a lot of
and then the earlier you guys can catch things, the better it makes you guys look, and you're set up for the next job, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. When we say that with contractors all the time in our world on development, it's there's going to be problems or challenges that arise, or there's going to be errors that you have to mitigate, and it's not a matter of if those exist or not being the problem. It's about how quickly can you bring them to light, how quickly can you address them and provide solutions. And I think to your point, and what we're all getting at is that I think you being up on the team allows TempCon to do that better for their clients. And that sounds like it's cool also just being in the field a little bit more than
getting to see the guys work. Like we have field guys who I'll regularly, hey, come here. I'm bidding this right here.
Right.
I don't think I can do this in like 8 hours. He's like, no, that's 32 hours. Come on. And you forgot about this. I'm like,
and just being able to spitball in the same room like that versus questioning. Yeah. It goes a long way. And again, to that culture that, and why the pandemic was so tough, but it just goes to show you got to get people in a room.
You've got to be back in
face to face,
back in the offices. I mean, it really does.
I can make all the cold calls I want to tenants that might have a lease expiring, but when you're standing right in front of them in their space, they tend to tell you a little bit more than when you're on the phone with them. Right. So
it's easier talking to a human being for sure.
For sure.
Well, and that's something I will give Luke credit for. When you guys were looking at your new facility, I thought it was cool. Which I've helped a number of folks with spaces like that. But I thought it was cool how you had your team come and how everyone had their own set of plans and had input on that. And I think that's part of that culture that you guys have created. Really is I think having that team mindset, using everyone's knowledge and perspective and putting that to work so that you can have kind of a whole all-encompassing solution, which I think...
and respecting how that, change is going to affect your team's day-to-day too.
Right.
I mean, just a new environment, new building, all that stuff.
One of the things, to that point, so the first 2.5 years, there was a lot of me dictating a lot of things.
Right.
And that wasn't taken very well. And, I've gone through professional coaching quite a bit, and at that point, Gordy, our CEO, said, "Hey, it might be time for you just to do some coaching. You've been, it's been tough the past couple and a half years." And the one thing that came out of it is what you alluded to is you got to get buy-in. And he would always say, "Win the locker room, get to the locker room." And so what he was really saying is make it to where people feel like it's collaborative and they have input and they have counsel and they have directionality into the decision-making process. Yeah. And that's a good example of that. I wouldn't even thought of that about that until you said it. But yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've really taken out of the coaching that I've got is it's important to communicate more so than just directing traffic. And being that dictator and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. It's important to say, hey, what should we do? We haven't done this year, but we will beginning of January. Our budget process just got done, and so we always wait to do a strategy meeting once the budget process is done. But last year's budget process was complete. We did the strategy session, and one thing that came out of it was this, our mantra, our kind of vision, which is climb. And that was just a simple acronym meant to show that we're committed to, limitless innovation, integrity, and a mindful pursuit of being the best. But it encompassed kind of all those things. Hey, we don't want to be stagnant. We can't be afraid to grow. We have to make sure that we complete a project the way it's supposed to be done.
Right.
We have to have that integrity for our customers. We have to have integrity for our folks. That's about the team store. That's about the hats. You guys have a couple of the hats.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that.
I love the hats, and people love the hats. And those little things, that simple little mantra encompasses all of that. But that came out of a meeting with all the department heads, really just saying, hey, what's important to us.
I thought it was maybe just the Denver guy, and
It's a little bit.
It was. You should have seen there was an image with it as a guy rock climbing.
Because Stuart and I,
probably in the Rockies.
We've seen that on your signature on your email a couple times, and we should have asked, but we genuinely just assumed like a Denver guy must be a rock climber.
That's what it is.
That's what.
I might say that it might have had a little bit.
Might have had a little something. Yeah. Well, to that end, I'm curious too a little bit of your background in Denver before TempCon. Were you in similar roles, working in similar trades?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went to school at CSU, Fort Collins, Colorado State. I went to school for the first semester as a mechanical engineering degree. Me and my dorm mate were in the same program by happenstance, didn't know him. But we both just, we didn't fit into the culture. It was classes with going through programming code.
Nerds.
Nerds. And we're trying. They're laughing about how to program a robotic arm to move in 3 dimensions. Yeah, I couldn't relate. So he and I both switched over to construction management. We graduated from that, and it was at the time of the .com boom, so there was infinite jobs.
Right.
I had job offers actually with J.E. Dunn here in Kansas City, Rudolph and Sled in San Francisco, a few in Colorado, a couple in Georgia, and ultimately I went with a company, RK Mechanical, in Denver. They're a subcontractor, but what attracted me to them was the individual that hired me. He was this really personable, easy to talk to guy. I had a couple interviews where they literally gave me 2 pages of questions, and I had to go line by line and answer those. I'm like, I don't want to work for this company. That's just not where I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy the people that I work with, and so I started there as a project engineer, and I moved up into progressive roles as an assistant PM, a project manager, an operations manager, a division manager for their steel division, back to an operations manager, then VP of Ops.
Cool.
Over the course of 19 years. I left the company managing the Colorado large projects region up into Wyoming as well. And so that gave me a good grasp of operational construction. I went through grad school at DU to get my executive MBA. And I did that because I had tunnel vision kind of on one side of the company, but I didn't really understand what the totality of a company is about.
Right.
What the strategy is. I am a very black and white person. Connor can probably tell you that. I didn't work in the gray very well, and that's something that I still work on. Is working in the gray. How do you understand that there's more to, a certain situation than just what you think that answer should be, and that's a lot of what that taught me. I left RK, started an interview, and I was Mr. Mom for a year. So we parted ways, and they had a new GM come on board, and I didn't see eye to eye with him necessarily, and I wasn't outwardly vocal about it, but I wasn't not vocal about it. So I had a severance and a non-compete for a year. I was Mr. Mom.
That's probably a memorable year, though, for you.
It was great. My kids were little.
That's fun.
I got to go to school in my version of yoga pants, and drop the kids off and pick them up, and go do my workouts, do whatever.
Yeah.
I was doing
Rock climbing.
Yeah.
rock climbing. Well, there was a rock climbing gym right next door, so we did that a few times. I was a consultant with my buddies doing some consulting. So I'm part of Molly and I have invested in a brewery called West Bend and Down in Colorado.
Cool.
So I consulted with them to build out one of their spaces, so that helped
Awesome.
out.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
It was a really good year. It
Yeah.
gave me perspective, and my wife, bless her heart, she went back to work. She had insurance for us, which was great. And then I started interviewing with a couple of companies that summer, and found my way to here at Kansas City. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, and I'm curious too. I know we don't need to dive into it, but obviously you are a Broncos fan.
Oh yeah, go Bo!
But I think we have a lot of. I feel like majority of the people we've had on as guests are KC natives, KC locals. Could you talk a little bit about your experience at Kansas City, and
Sure.
Do you feel like it's a place you could see your family be in for a long time, and just kind of how it's been getting familiar with the community?
It's a juxtaposition. In Colorado you have. Literally when I was growing up, I lived in the foothills in Boulder, and I would walk out my door and go hiking.
Right.
Just because I lived literally on a mountain.
Right.
And coming here, it's you don't have that recreational activity that you're used to in Colorado. It's a different type of recreational activity. It's a lot of lakes, and we didn't grow up doing that stuff. So I think that part of it has we still long for that as a family, because we love skiing, we do ski vacations.
Will always kind of draw you back a little bit, right? Right.
Always draw us back.
Yeah.
But coming out here, just having the space, we live in a spot where we back up to open space. I lived in Stapleton in Colorado, which is this hugely congested
Right.
Neighborhood.
Smaller lots, that kind of thing. Yeah.
We had no backyard. We
Right.
were backing up to our neighbors. And
Right.
so the quality of life here, I'll say, is significantly better. I rarely drive on the highways, right? I drive on farm roads a lot, and that's one of the best things in the world. It's just like your stress level is so much lower when you're not in traffic.
No kidding.
Colorado traffic's horrible. It's dense.
Yeah.
My kids are 16, 14, and 11. My daughter's going to be a senior next year. She's looking at colleges, and right now she's looking at CU Boulder.
Yeah.
But, she's interested in University of Connecticut, University of Miami, although, that's super hard to get into, and she realizes it. But,
Miami, Florida, or Ohio?
Yeah.
Florida.
Florida, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
We visited the campus earlier this year. It's beautiful.
That's probably hard to beat.
I told my 14-year-old boy to wear sunglasses on campus.
Good advice, Dad. Good advice.
He's like, "Why, Dad?" I'm like, "You'll see." Sure enough. So we have my 11-year-old. He's in 6th grade, and so we're here through him graduating, and depending where all the kids go, ultimately, my wife and I will probably go where the kids are. If they're scattered in multiple directions, we might be here as a base, But if they're all in one central location, we might travel back over there.
Yeah.
But Kansas City's been a wonderful place for our family. It's given us a lot of opportunity. People are friendly, and I am a Broncos fan, and I have blue and orange chairs in my office, and I do it halfway to taunt, but I also do it for good conversation, right? And most of the taunting comes at me because the Broncos have really not done well the last few years.
Yeah. And now this year, you got to, knock on wood, hopefully a playoff team. And
Tomorrow's a day.
Tomorrow's a big game. That's
Tomorrow's
right.
a big game, yeah.
That's right.
So if we can get that game, we'll play Chiefs in the playoffs, and we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think we want to see. We're hoping that week 17 game doesn't mean anything for you guys, so we can, just notch another win and just
Well, hopefully it doesn't mean anything for us. If
Well,
we take care of
hopefully.
business,
You're right. You're
we
right.
might not even have to play him. Well,
You know,
But yeah.
we'll bench Bo Nix. We won't play him on 4th down and get his ankle surgery.
yeah, I don't know what they were thinking.
We ran
honestly.
3 out of 16. Start kind of the third quarter. So
Yeah, something
even
like
though they were
that.
getting like
It's
7
rough.
yards per carry.
It's
or
rough. It's yeah.
I don't know what Matt Nagy's doing, but the Broncos are for real this
Yeah,
year. I
yeah.
really do.
For the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
The last time we won the Super Bowl was great. You know, Von Miller just
yeah.
annihilated
Yeah, that-
Cam Newton, and it was great. He was crying on the sidelines.
Our brother-in-law is a Denver guy. Went to Cherry Creek, right?
Yeah.
Cherry Creek.
And he's a big time
And
Broncos
he's
fan.
So he's a pretty boy.
so and he will let his our nieces and nephews rock the Chiefs gear. But
His kids, yeah.
it's like since he married our sister, they got
Well,
to
yeah,
a Super
I was
Bowl
gonna
and then we beat them like 20 times in a row.
I like smack talk from you guys to him.
I used to despise his Broncos fandom because he kind of had the upper hand. But to Stuart's point, as soon as they got married, that the pendulum totally swung the
Yeah.
other way.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point where I've kind of started to feel bad for him.
Oh,
in
don't feel
recent
bad.
years.
You don't feel bad. You
No,
gotta
I
feel good.
know.
No,
I know.
Dan reminds us that Elway ripped our hearts out year after year.
Yeah,
Back
so-
when we weren't paying attention.
So it's all full circle.
But Connor, you're a KC lifer, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Where'd you grow up, on the Kansas side or Missouri side?
South Missouri.
Okay.
120th and Warnell,
Okay.
just by Avila there.
Yeah.
Grew up there. Went to St. Thomas More. Then went to Rockhurst. Then I actually looked at University of Miami. Thought I was going there. Almost had a dorm room and stuff picked out. But then I realized the tuition. I was gonna be paying my own
Yeah,
way. So that
that's a
kind
little
of
tougher.
that changed things quite a bit. And I went to my counselor and I was like, "Hey, I like designing stuff and I really like math." And he's like, "Oh, you sound like an engineer." I was like, "Sure. Where do you go for that?" And he's like, "Well, you're a state school kid." And I was like, "Oh." I was like, "I don't know what that means, but I'll take it." Now I get it.
Well, the fact that you don't know what that means.
Exactly. That kind of explains it,
Okay,
right?
it's all right. I was a state school kid by definition too.
Exactly. So he goes, around here you go to K-State for engineering. I was like, all right. I didn't even know what K-State was. Some reason or another, I grew up a Nebraska football fan. I hate them now, but and so went to K-State, loved it. I actually almost did exactly what he did. I did the architectural engineering program there, and they have co-classes with their construction science degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we shared a bunch of classes with the construction guys, and they were a lot more my level.
Yeah.
I mean, you got
Right.
my dad used to call them engineers.
Engineers.
And
yeah.
so it'd be like, you got the engineers and you got the construction guys. And I was just vibing way more with these guys versus what was going on over here. And I almost switched. I was just like, there's
Yeah.
no reason. But then it was like, the classes I went to with them, they were not the toughest classes. Not that they weren't tough, but it was more management. It was
Right.
more
Certainly.
it was more knowing what you're doing, being organized, that type of thing. Real strong level of detail type stuff. Whereas the engineering was more conceptual thinking, and that's why I stuck with it. Very happy I stuck with it, and so I came back to Kansas City. Thought I was going to kind of go elsewhere when Branch Pattern was formerly known as ME Group, and they had a Denver office.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was gonna try
I
to
think
make my way there.
I think we talked when it was still
Yeah,
ME Group.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah. So
And,
I used to call on both of you guys
Yeah.
back in my old day.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's right.
And so I was going to try to do a couple years in Kansas City, then make my way to Denver, and then life happened.
And life, yeah.
So
You a big family? You got siblings?
So I have 2 sisters and 1 brother. Brothers in Denver, older sisters in Northwest Arkansas, and my little sister's here.
Cool.
So it's pretty good. Everyone's starting to get married and finally have kids.
Yeah.
My little sister just had her second. Older sister has 1. And then my little brother, I'm sure, will start a family soon. I've got 2 kids, live out in Belton. Recently,
Cool.
More or less starting a half farm.
He's a farmer now.
Yeah. Looks like there's some inside kind of.
Well, I have something to tell
We got the
him.
farmer and the
He's
mountain.
gonna, he's
the
gonna
mountain.
joke.
Animal?
He's
You
gonna
did.
joke to
You
see if I got another animal.
horse. You got
And
another horse.
I have a dog coming
dog.
the 3rd day after Christmas.
That's good.
you
So-
saying
Is that
another horse?
So
Is that
He gets one like
a
every
surprise
He
dog?
gets one like every week.
Well, it was supposed to be for Christmas, but then it's not going to get here till the 28th. So,
Okay.
but I wanted to start with a dog. I thought that was a great way to start a family. Instead,
sure.
the missus, she wanted a horse, so we got a horse. Then it's a henny, which is I think it's a female horse and a male donkey. So it's a mule.
Okay.
Really, but
All
it's
right.
called a henny, and then a pony and a calf.
How many acres do you guys have?
Only 5.
Okay.
So it's like, where are they going to go? I don't know.
Opening
Oh, then
barn.
12 chickens.
They don't have a barn, so are they still staying in the garage?
That pony's going to be in my basement.
You
I
can-
know.
you can-
My
your basement?
My
How's it
basement's
gonna get to your
unfinished.
basement?
That we have the lower back garages,
Okay.
and so
Okay.
So
I
you-
can just tell you, he makes fun of me, but it's I think he knows too. It's happening.
You ever see City Slickers with Norm? You ever see that movie?
I don't think so.
I don't
Old
think I
movie,
am.
Billy Crystal
Okay.
back in the day.
Okay.
That's pretty good actually.
City Slickers, yeah. But in the movie, he adopts this calf, and it's named Norm, and the calf just lives in the house, and that's pretty much what Connor is.
Yeah,
It's like Funny Farm.
Just a live petting zoo, just right there.
And so he makes fun of me that I'm going to get another animal, and then
he gets
every
one.
time he asks, I have to be like, well, since you brought it up,
Yeah, quit
quit
asking.
asking. Yeah, exactly.
Well, so did your wife grow up out on like
She
a farm?
grew up in Lewisburg, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so they
Okay.
had...
That
her-
checks out.
Yeah, her
Okay.
grandparents had 28 acres, and she
Okay.
was there every weekend on
Yep.
horses.
I don't know how.
feed.
Yeah, my South Johnson County wife probably wouldn't have been like, "Yeah, let's go get a farm."
Yeah, I didn't think... I was living on the plaza, you know?
right.
It wasn't exactly... I went from, honestly, living on the plaza in a 2-bedroom to 5 acres, and I don't know. How many
Yeah,
animals
that's
now.
cool.
He might
Yeah.
live next to a missile silo, so we're not.
Oh,
sure
that's
about
true.
that.
Ah.
Yeah, there was a Chinook going or Chinook, whatever it is, 100 foot over my house, and I followed the damn thing, and then it landed in a field. I was like, I don't think that's right.
That's interesting. Yeah.
If you look up, there's a bunch of drones over your house.
I don't know.
Unidentified.
Don't shoot them.
Oh, that's fine. Well, you guys have there's some cool projects in the pipeline, 2025 moving forward. Maybe not as sexy as the current stadium. I don't think we're building any cool new stadiums in Kansas City.
we
but-
are trying to build alongside it, the Berkeley Riverfront.
Oh, yeah,
So we are trying to help budget that
Awesome.
one right now. Really
Cool.
got our fingers crossed on that. I'm trying to knock on that door a little harder.
Yeah.
But our goal is to be the Berkeley Riverfront.
Gotcha. Just the go-to.
Just the
now
go-to.
Now
Hey,
that you've
that's
kinda-
our area. We
Right.
we want to try to lock that down.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do anything to make that happen. And we've already started budgeting for that. That project I think it's at least got first phase funding so far. I think they're moving earthwork actually already.
Is there any uniqueness to the work or anything that you guys have to take into consideration with proximity to the water or anything that site in particular that you ran into that's like, we don't deal with this elsewhere?
There was and there wasn't. So they avoid that. If they get so close, they have to get longshoreman insurance, I think it is.
Okay.
Everyone has to. Anyone that's working on that project. But what they do is they navigate the property line so that they're so far off. And I can't recall what that pathway walk is. That's all along the riverside there.
Right.
As long as you're on the other side of it, I think it pretty much
Okay.
keeps that from happening. And none of the development that I've seen so far crosses that barrier.
Okay.
Now, I do think a lot more of the Casey Port has gotten, or Port Authority, has gotten more and more a hold of all the projects down there, which that doesn't do much other than make sure you're being good faith effort to get your MBE, your WBE, all of that, or Casey, or local business enterprise as well.
Right.
But so that project, and then I thought there was another one that we were.
It's interesting right now. So we had the election year, and then high interest rates have really, bidding activity has gone down across the city significantly.
We've seen that in the development world too. I mean, developers have pulled back reins and
Yeah.
all that too. So
And it's created a little bit of a tepid market here in KC for the last probably 6 months, and we're starting to see bidding activity pop back up. I'm on the board for the Olathe Chamber of Commerce, and they have a ton of work in the hopper. And
Yeah.
equipment. There's a lot of stuff. Panasonic's bringing a lot of folks. But
Certainly.
Outside of, they have some Star Bonds on Renner and 119th.
Yep.
Which is, it's going to be a sheet of ice and arena. It's going to have
Thanks for beating me to it.
amusement park
Yeah.
or a visual learning amusement park. They have, let's say, they have another like home field concept going in
Yeah.
for the city of Olathe. So there's a lot of stuff in Olathe happening, and that I think has more legs to it than a lot of the work that we're seeing right now. But you're seeing articles for $800,000 for light, and so there's
Right.
all this stuff that is just waiting.
Mattel.
Mattel.
That's what I was
yes.
thinking.
Mattel, yeah. So Barbie World.
Oh,
So
right.
That's coming up.
I've heard that. Yeah.
That's the Legends here. That'll be a big one next to Margaritaville.
Don't tell my 3-year-old about that.
You'll be going for sure.
You're gonna live there.
You'll be going.
Dang. Okay. Yeah.
But it's and the development stuff is just it's slow, and there's something waiting to kick off, but it's going to happen soon. There's more hospitality going in because of the World Cup coming into town.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw they're trying to bring a ladies basketball team, WNBA team, to Sprint Center. So I think there's a lot of stuff that hopefully starts popping in 25, but it's happened 6 months for sure.
Have you guys still been doing a fair amount of data center work?
So we do very little because of our size. And strategy-wise for us, TempCon is primarily sheet metal from an installation standpoint and a service standpoint. We primarily focus on sheet metal, air conditioning, heating equipment, along with refrigeration. We do a lot of DX piping.
Right.
What we don't do is hydronics. The wet side is chillers, boilers, cooling towers.
Okay.
And we don't do plumbing. So that is part of the problem. And part of our growth strategy is, hey, we need to start that up. This next year, we've got significant capital expenditures to expand our shop into plumbing and piping fabrication.
Okay.
With your guys' help, the new space is going to be a huge selling point for us. A lot of what we do with what we have to do and what Connor has to do is sell our customers and our partners on, hey, we have the capacity, we have the capability.
Right.
And that facility is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Us, just walking people around our shop. You guys have seen it. It's small. It's a quick tour. But the new facility, the vastness, it says a lot about who you are as a company, what your capabilities are.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the key puzzle pieces that we're missing. But we're hopeful that really helps us start getting some work.
Do you see that, and maybe that is, to your point, part of it, kind of the growth strategy as you guys get into the new space and into the new year? I mean, are you out actively recruiting for, professionals on the hydronic side and that bring that expertise and
We've already got 2 guys on board. This past 2 weeks, I've been bidding hydronic and plumbing work.
Awesome. Yeah, very cool.
And I've had them sit next to me, and I've been talking about what I can design it all day, but
Right.
I don't know what it takes to install it. I can sit there and draw the detail.
Right.
I can say, hey, you got to compact everything around here. use
Theoretically,
backfill.
this works.
Yeah, exactly. So how do I do it?
Well, that's when I was I spent a summer with Centric Projects, just being a jacksman. I was just on the job site doing miscellaneous junk, and it's funny you say because I always think back to this, especially when we're on the development side and we're working with all the design team, because some of the I know this isn't necessarily a great example with all the field guys, but these field guys, we'd get in there and we'd be like, well, we're trying to figure it out, and they never match the plans. And, they just draw whatever they want, and then they expect us to figure it out.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it is
every
there's a little
bit
bit
of
of tension there. I think.
I'm the guy that draws it and expects me to figure it out.
We shouldn't be doing this work. Can't be scared of our shadows.
Yeah, so I literally had those guys in there next to me. I'm like, okay, this is the type of equipment you need, and you got to rent that. And then he was like trying to get me to buy some big air compressor or something to test the lines. And I was like, Luke wants everything to be chargeable. I have to rent it. And he's like, no, but they're just buy it. I was like, give me the rental charge. I was like, everything is going there. I was like, he's not going to put that in the CapEx. This is job charged. And the guys just couldn't understand it. I was like, well, just give me the room.
There's a process for this now. Yeah. So are you actively out at K-State? How are you guys kind of recruiting? With exorbitant as college costs have been and stuff, I'm sure you guys are seeing it seems like the generation behind us, there's a trend kind of trending towards more of the trade and the benefits that come along with that, and being able to immediately, start making good money, get your hands, get your feet wet, your hands dirty, and get in and get after it.
So so a couple of aspects to that. So, from a management perspective, we focus on young managers, and I come from construction management out of college, and regardless if I knew the trades or not, really what I think college does for folks is help them complete assignments. And that is really critical with project managers. And so that one trait, if somebody's successful getting through a 4-year degree, you know that they're successful at achieving a goal.
Certainly,
right?
yeah,
And managing
yeah.
schedules
Right.
and submitting assignments, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that whatever your degree is, it doesn't really matter in my mind. It's, hey, can you do that? Are you personable?
Mm-hmm.
And can you handle yourself in a situation? So we do focus on, like, Pitt State right now is a really good feeder program for
Yeah.
us. We have a young man, Dylan Jenkins, who actually worked for RK, and that's how we got a hold of him. But he's helped us kind of bring some more folks in, younger folks with that side of it. From the field side, what we started to do is we partnered up with RAPEX schools. They have a program, a vocational program, Herndon Career College. But they essentially provide these kids with opportunities to do internships in a variety of companies.
Yeah.
And so we've, for the past 3 years, we've been bringing in 8 to 14 high school kids ranging from sophomore to senior year. And depending on how old they are, they can do certain things.
Yeah.
But out of that, we've hired probably half of the folks that we brought in. We're starting to do that now with Olathe as well.
That's really cool.
So we're feeding our trades ranks. That's a really big priority for us, and we focus on that. And then on top of that, we start an apprenticeship program, and this next May will be our first graduating class of 6. Last year, I think we had 18 enrolled, and this year we have 36 enrolled.
Damn,
35
that's
enrolled.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very
So
cool.
that's a really big thing. So to your point, yeah, there's a lot of people that see that there's a different way to kind of be successful.
Certainly,
And
yeah.
I mean, quite honestly, the pay that we're paying right now it's really competitive. We've raised wages on the install side about 20% since the end of 2022, and on the service side, it's about 40% raise.
Well, and it's got to be a win-win for you guys.
Yeah.
You get an early look at these kids that are finding their way.
Yep.
You can help them out. I'm sure there's, like anything, a few that, decide to go do something else for better or for worse. But then by the time they're coming on board to your team, you've got a great history of their background. You know who they are.
When you can help mold.
Yeah. No, I mean,
habits.
it's a
And with career mapping,
Yeah.
a guy can see that he's just a field guy, but he can see a map all the way to being the director of operations.
Yeah.
Right.
There's actually a path. He can follow a flow chart
right.
into where your point of molding, you get to mold him towards what you want that final piece to
Yeah.
be.
Right.
Now he's got to work his way against it.
Well, and then-
all
and
that
then
earn it,
against
like,
himself.
yeah.
He's got to earn it. That's the best part about
And then
being
when
a merit shop.
you're involved in a kid's life like that too, and then they enjoy what they're doing, they come on board with you guys. It's that much more likely that you're gonna look up and they're gonna be a tenured employee with you guys. They take pride in what they're doing. And again, it just boils down to the culture, and it comes full circle again. It's so. Yeah, taking ownership, and that's cool. I had to figured you guys were doing that stuff because I've noticed that it's seemingly kind of going that direction in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, I think it's very cool, and kind of a small little thing. But when we were touring through your shop once, I think one of your guys back there kind of was like, "What are you guys doing here?" And I was like, I told him,
You
I was
could
like,
feel
I
it,
appreciate that you are, you're not just sitting here like, letting anybody walk through
Not
here.
one of us.
You're making sure we're supposed to be there, and I think there's a level of pride that it takes to lead to something like that. And so
Yeah.
I think it's very cool what you guys have done, and excited to see you guys continue to grow. I am curious, as we were talking about projects, they're capping the highway downtown. Is a project like that, is that something that a team like you guys would work on? Is there any sort of air?
There's going to be some in the tunnel, but I've never, even when I was directly on the consulting side, I don't know who actually just picks it up, or they just put a mechanical on there, just throw some destratification.
So it might be probably a smaller
Yeah.
job.
They're just bringing in fresh air.
Yeah,
I was
just
curious.
you know, when you go through the tunnels in
Denver.
or I guess,
Eisenhower Tunnel or something like that.
You'll just see the big fans right there
Right.
at the beginning as coming.
Right,
All they're
right.
doing is shooting it in and pulling it out. You know, it's all they're doing.
Right.
That's what they'll do over here too.
There'll be some, if they have, parks, I think they're going to have a park in there. There'll be some.
There'll be a shelter or something.
Shelter,
Another-
restrooms.
Right.
whatever.
Amphitheater.
That'd be
Right.
a little stuff that we
Yeah.
could do, but no, it's probably a civil project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
But there is still, hopefully, that Washington Park becomes the stadium.
Gosh, I know. I mean, it's now all of a sudden just when something seems like it's trickling towards fruition, and then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, there's 5 more sites we're looking
Well,
at.
it's all probably a little bit of posturing too.
Probably.
Yeah, you got a posture, but at the same
Probably.
time, I mean, that's
Well, hey,
makes sense.
hey, you guys have been heavily involved in one of the only stadiums recently built in Kansas City,
Right,
so
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
that positions you well
And
for
the only stadium near downtown.
Yeah, that's right.
5 years from
We
now,
literally
or
are now.
whenever it may be, even if Luke doesn't want to work on the project.
Hey, I'll start budgeting now. And by then, we'll have good enough hydronics going.
There you go. Yeah,
You guys might be out in Bonner Springs. Who knows?
maybe.
I think that's more likely for the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Yeah.
Exactly. Chiefs to go to Bonner, Royals to stay downtown.
I would
The
love
BS
that.
Chiefs, right?
The what? The
BS
BS.
BS Chiefs.
The what?
That's the first time I've heard
I had to
that.
throw that in.
You hang out with enough Broncos fans.
Exactly.
You start hearing new things.
Now you can tell your brother.
Yeah, he'll like that.
Yeah, he'll like it.
No, I have to. This isn't kind of me, but the blocked field goal. My brother-in-law, I had a couple friends over at my house, and my brother-in-law and my sister came over with their kids right towards the end, and I was like, I opened the door for my sister, like, we're about to lose. They just got a first down. They're going to eat out the clock and kick a field goal. And he's just like, it's not over yet. And I had already given up. I was like,
I tried to leave.
I was like, this game
You
is
were there.
over.
I tried to
This
leave.
game is over.
My buddy said the same thing.
And I'm just sitting there, some of my friends are meeting my niece and nephews that were there, and all of a sudden it blocks, and we're all like, "Oh my god!" And then after like about 15 seconds of going crazy, I look over and I just see my brother-in-law
Just quietly standing in the corner.
He's on X sitting there saying, "Chiefs have it rigged."
But that is like the epitome of what I think the last 10 years has been for him as a Broncos fan, but I just couldn't help but share that little story. So.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
We've enjoyed the banter over the years, so I hope to enjoy some of it with you going forward too. So no, it's fun. We got a competitive division over moving forward.
I think
Save the Raiders. Right?
The AFC.
Save the Raiders, right?
Yeah.
Raiders are a dumpster fire.
But they
so.
might get first overall pick, and then who knows? They'll have Shadir Sanders and be.
Travis Hunter there.
Yeah,
Travis
are
Hunter.
you a Dion guy? Did you go to CSU or CU?
He said CSU.
You said
CSU, but I was born and raised in Boulder. So
Yeah, right,
I have
yeah.
like mixed feelings about.
I'm sure you got plenty of friends that are
Well, because
thoroughly invested in
Oh
that.
my gosh.
Well, and they don't.
Oh my gosh.
They don't have some real contentious rivalry, right? I mean, they're state rivals, but it's not. Is it?
It
It's
was
not
more
KU.
so when I was going to college because
Okay.
they were playing each other more often.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I would go to. They used to have that at Mile High, the game, and I mean, there would be just scraps everywhere in the parking lot between CSU.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It was silly. No, I don't think so. I mean, CSU, they have a hard time because they just don't have the fundraising.
Yeah.
They don't have, the donors backing them like CU does. And CU's got the notoriety. It's
For sure.
They have a lot of out-of-state folks from California. They have the money. And Dion's done great.
Sounds like he's going to stick around too. Is what he's saying.
Yeah, I think it sounds like it. Who knows? There's all these
Yeah.
rumors about him going to the NFL.
I was going
but-
to say they were looking at him for the NFL, right?
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah.
I forget which team it was.
I think it was maybe the Cowboys.
Yeah, it was the Cowboys. You're right. I think he's done well. I think he's got a interesting reputation because he plays favorites, is what I understand. So either half the team loves him,
Loves
or half
him, or
the team
can't
thinks
stand
he's
him, yeah.
the biggest jerk that you've met.
Right.
So I don't know. But he's
Yeah.
done. It's good for CU. It's kind of like the Broncos. They've been
I love it.
in the dumps. For
Oh,
a long
I have no
time.
dog in the fight.
It was an
I
absolute
find it
shot in the
entertaining,
arm.
to
Yeah.
say
Yeah,
the
it was.
least.
It
Yeah.
was.
absolute shot in the arm. I mean, that they needed. They were the
Yeah.
worst Power 5, like KU.
I'm young enough that I candidly don't really remember when Colorado was sitting there battling Nebraska and they were dominating the
national champ.
Big 12
Yeah.
North, and
That was great.
and I've heard stories of the fifth down
Yeah.
against
in
Missouri.
Columbia.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like the block field goal,
Yeah. I don't know, but we can. I'll die. All right, no, but. I've lost my train of thought.
Colorado's awesome.
But no, I think it's cool that they're kind of getting that mystique back, because it makes me think of Mizzou. I don't think we were ever necessarily winning a national championship growing up, but it's fun seeing the programs kind of get that shot in the arm,
agree.
like you're saying.
I agree.
And they all eventually roll around, right?
Yeah.
Every program. And like
Everything's
BYU
cyclical.
this year, I mean, they were.
Oh yeah, they came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Came out of nowhere.
They wrecked
yeah.
K-State in that one game. I was watching that with a K-State buddy of mine.
For 8
Sorry.
minutes they did.
No,
For 8 minutes.
No, that was the
It was
craziest.
a small window of time.
It was the craziest because there was like
Is
2
K-State
minutes
in the
left.
bowl game?
Isn't that same bowl? They gave KU a hard time for being in last year.
Is it like the,
It's playing Rutgers. That's all I know.
Rutgers, that's right. Well, it's a
Skittles
crappy.
Bowl or
It's the
something?
day after Christmas too, so it's
That's
tough for
right.
fans to get
Yeah,
down
I
there and
I
everything
looked
too.
at it.
Yeah.
I'll be snowboarding that day. So.
You'll be shredding.
What mountain will you go to?
We're going to Beaver Creek. We're driving out Christmas
That's a
Day
good
at like
question.
7 in the
Awesome.
morning. Yeah. So
Is that your favorite?
no,
Well-
so I proposed to Molly at Beaver Creek, and
very cool.
I haven't been back since, so it'd be cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well, the sheltered Johnson County kids that we were, our parents still did a good job of pushing us out to all the Rocky Mountain National Parks and everything.
Yeah.
We've done 14ers. We were big skiers. So we love Colorado. Don't get us wrong.
I will say, I feel like Kansas City folks really do like.
Yeah.
I feel like, and people think when I talk to other people from around the country, they think we're psycho for driving, or I should say crazy. Not
A
psycho.
10-hour drive is nothing.
Yeah,
out to the
you
mountains.
drive the whole way. It's like, but it's literally we laugh about it because I think you get growing up it was like 20 minutes to the highway. You get to I-70,
Yep.
and then you drive I-70 for about like 8 or 9 hours, and then it's 20 minutes to where you're staying.
Yep.
It's like it's a pretty simple drive.
And by the time
drive
you fly,
home isn't as nice.
By the time you
but-
fly, it's a 6-hour process.
Half of it, exactly.
Right.
But yeah,
It's
we
half
grew
of it.
up Colorado Springs in the summer was
Yeah.
awesome, and then we would go
Estes
out
Park
in the winter
and all that. Yeah.
one of Dan's, because he was doing development work back then, and so one of the contractors he was close with had a house in Vail, and so we would get to stay there for free all the time, and which was awesome. So we
Do the
skied.
back bowls of Vail, which are epic.
Yeah, we
no doubt.
skied there a lot growing up, but now we mostly go to Copper Mountain, that Summit County area is where we typically stay.
Has Beaver been getting good snow?
I haven't been tracking it. I honestly haven't been tracking it.
That's the only thing I was just talking to somebody yesterday, but this time of year it can be so damn cold too. Even with the hand warmers and everything, it's just like God.
Yeah, you get
and
that
then,
overcast.
then you wait three
tough with little
months
kids.
and you're skiing without a shirt on.
And so you're a boarder, is that what you said?
So I grew up skiing, and then I went to board when I was 15, and then I went back to skiing when the kids were little, so I could teach them skiing, and now I'm back to boarding.
What about your kids? The three of them?
I got my 14-year-old snowboarding, and then my 11-year-old snowboarding as of last year, and we got them in a couple of lessons.
So
We're going up.
when did you throw them on first? When they were like 4, 5?
3.5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
when you can put them in school.
because once they're potty trained, basically,
Yep.
then it's like you're basically hiring a babysitter.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm not very
for
good at golf,
$600.
and so skiing was like
That's true.
An hour.
skiing's like golf in the wintertime in terms of socializing. Like Train's one of our trusted vendor partners, and they put on this great ski trip every year, and that's actually how Connor.
So TempCon found me.
That's
Yeah.
how
cool.
TempCon found
All
Connor.
right.
I was on an interview and I had no idea.
Yeah.
So you're on that ski trip, hanging out with
TempCon
guys.
was there.
Yeah, I kind
know.
of like this guy. Yeah.
Is that?
job.
Were you there too? Or?
No, it was
okay.
before I came on board.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's a great. It's like networking in the wintertime, and
Yeah.
it's a great thing to do. So for me, because I'm not a golfer, and if I was, I'd have my kids golfing. But at least it's a skill that they can have. They can do socially, which I think is a huge aspect for it.
Yeah.
there in lacrosse, team sports. I didn't play a ton of team sports. Connor did, but there's an aspect of that too that I think does so much for you later in life because you network and you never know when those relationships are going to pop up.
Definitely.
And they pop up when you need them. So
Definitely.
There's a lot of good things about stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I've never thought about it, but it really is similar to golf. You get a lot of time riding on the the chair lifts. Just you get some good one-on-one time like that.
Then you just got to let it rip, just like on the
Yeah.
just like on the
You see someone just shred down, you're like, well, crap, I got to keep up.
I was the 4-year-old that wouldn't turn. I would just go
Straight down.
My parents were always like,
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. That's a lot of fun.
Well, and are you a skier then or a snowboarder?
I'm a skier. I always wanted to snowboard. They always look cooler.
They don't wear gaiters.
Yeah,
like cheese
getting on
jackets,
and off this. Getting on and off.
I have my
Walking
body
around.
has a mental block. I can't turn
Yeah,
sideways.
we can't stand on.
I can't
skateboards.
snowboard. I can't skateboard. I can't
skateboard
wakeboard.
also. Yeah,
I just won't turn sideways.
I think that must be it.
But I'm a good skier. I'm a
Yeah,
good
I can
skier.
ski well. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we're going to Vail in third week of January, and all skiing. The
Yeah.
2 boys, they're going to be skiing.
That'll be
The
awesome.
wife will be pregnant, so
Are you putting her in ski school?
She is.
Is
Yeah, I'm going to do ski school.
Good.
Yeah,
Who's gonna be watching the horses?
TBD.
Luke might be over there.
I never
You don't want me to
thought
watch them.
never thought I'd need a horse sitter.
Yeah, like I don't even know who you go to for that. I mean, and it's for my little brother's wedding, so I can't steal my siblings.
How old are your 2?
3 and 6.
Okay.
6 and 3.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's one on the way at the end of April.
Nice.
All right.
Have you found out yet, boy, girl?
Girl.
Girl, okay.
I've got
I'm
You
stoked.
know,
I'm
you should
stoked.
be
He's
stoked.
he's
Girls
got one
are
on the
great.
way
I'm worried
too.
about being a baby.
I'm almost 4, almost 2, and we've got our
Third one
two
on the-
girls, and we got a boy coming at the end of
See?
January. End of January.
See, I know
Continue.
boys.
We're talking like 5 weeks.
It's the first. It will be the
Your
first.
legacy will be there.
That's right. That's right. Stu Jr. Yeah, here he comes.
Stubby. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to help you to get us wrapped up so we don't keep the listeners too long. But appreciate you guys coming on. We really had a lot of fun and really have appreciated working with you guys. It's been cool to be a part of helping you guys grow here in Kansas
sure.
City, and
sure.
excited to watch that further into the future. But before we jump, a couple things. Are there what's a good way for folks to reach out if there's a project someone's thinking about and want to talk to you guys about? And then B, just kind of what your guys' plans are for the future. I think you guys touch on a little bit of what you're trying to grow your operations with, but just if you want to touch on some of that.
TempConKC.com.
Yeah, there's an email link in there. I'm on LinkedIn. Luke Chambers, just search up Luke Chambers on LinkedIn. That's great. In terms of, for you, TempCon KC, you can reach out. There's a number there for Connor. Email's fine too. Your
Email's fine. LinkedIn,
Yeah.
Connor Smith.
Yep.
Find me through there. That'd be probably the easiest way. Get you set up for any kind of budgetary needs. I can get you guided in the right direction on basically anything.
And are you
Either
guys?
it's a GC you're looking for.
Do you guys have openings for summer 25?
openings
or
for
like
all positions?
apprenticeship
Openings for
or
all positions.
whatever it
Doesn't
might
matter.
be?
Yeah, 17
got-
years old looking for an apprenticeship.
Cool.
Yes.
All the way through to senior PM,
Awesome. Awesome.
sales, whatever it is.
Talented people, right?
Yeah.
Talented
Yeah.
people
Talented
that
people.
care, that give a shit, and just want to do more of their life.
It's like
Care.
Dan told us at one point, we're never hiring, but we're always hiring.
Yes, exactly.
It's funny. I've had 3 recruiters searching since I've been here.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just because you got to find the right people. And
Right.
You need to find the right people that fit because they often don't fit. And they often do fit. You often get surprised.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing. To your point, you always got to look. You
Yeah.
always got to look. You can't pass anybody up.
Right.
That's that talent.
Right.
So in terms of growth, kind of what our plan, what our real goal is, we will do $53-ish, $54 million this year. My personal goal by the time the next 5 years comes up is I want to double that in size. I want to double each division in selling service, expand our service operations. I want to get into data centers. I want that hydronics to build.
Yeah.
I really want to use a space as a catalyst to jump us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to take a lot of effort, a lot of talented people, and the people are really what makes that happen. We've decided that it's more important to recognize our folks through incentives, and we do a profit sharing program on the install side. On the technician side, we're right under union scale, but we don't require all the dues. So that's we really feel like compensating people is a big deal.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest things that we try to show all the good stuff that we do. Traditionally we can always do better, right? And there's always things that we can do better on, and we're trying to listen a lot more. So people is going to be our catalyst for growth, along with the space that you guys helped us out with. That's the plan.
Cool.
Hey, kudos to you guys. So, not to name names of your competitors, but one of your competitors called me up the other day and asked why we weren't renewing, and I said, hey, we've been working with a broker for quite a while, and you guys found our first space. I think, Stuart, you called on me right after you left. I forget which company it was.
ITS, yeah.
ITS, you called on me and said, hey, I'm working for, Kensington Hunter, you need space, and we needed space. So you found us our first space.
Yeah.
And then our second space, and now our third space that we're consolidating to.
Right.
So one of our current landlords is not very happy with us because we didn't ask him to look for other space. And his email to me was, hey, we're just going to not send you any more business. So, and I said, that's, well, hey, I'm sorry about that. I'm surprised about your tact, and it's disappointing, but happy holidays.
Yeah.
Makes you feel like I made the right decision.
Well, and
Yeah, we did for sure. So you guys, kudos to you guys. You
I
guys
appreciate
are, you do a good job of taking care of your clients.
Appreciate
that.
Yeah, thank you. No, we look forward to continuing to work with you guys for sure.
Yeah.
And excited to see you get into the new space.
I'm very excited to see that.
And how that can
Sweet.
help catapult you into new things that you didn't maybe think were possible.
He's designing the Taj Mahal for our HVAC right now. So we'll see how that goes.
I do have. It's a pretty impressive system. I think you got going on there.
Yeah, it'll be great. Something to
Awesome.
It'll be good.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Well, I think that's a wrap. Episode 26. Give us a follow. Thanks, listeners.
Thanks.
Thanks.
I have to say.